The Russians like to use poisoning against political enemies. We've seen this on countless occasions previously. We saw the use of chemical weapons even against former Russian intelligence agents, Sergei Skripal, on the streets of Salisbury in England just 2 years ago, which threatened potentially the lives of thousands of British citizens. We are dealing with an extremely ruthless, brutal and barbaric regime that is run by Vladimir Putin.
The administration's essentially doing what it said it was going to do since day one. When the president came into office, they published a national security strategy. These things are publicly required to be published by law. Since we've been doing it for a couple of decades, it's actually the first one where we had a president come in and say, this is what I'm going to do, and actually lay it out and actually follow that like a blueprint.
One of the big measures which former Vice President Biden has been pushing forward is a Green New Deal light. He's calling for all energy to be basically carbon neutral by 2035, the entire economy to be carbon neutral by 2050. The problem with that is that's going to cost the average family more than $7,000 per year. There's no one solution to economic growth. We need to have free trade, and we need to have lower taxes, and we need to have those other incentives in place. So yes, we saw the initial increase in CapEx, which does have a long-term increase on productivity. At the same time, we took a few steps backwards on trade. So in the next administration, if that is President Trump, we need to see a continuation of the tax policies that began to set us on a better long-term footing.
Safety precautions are not being cut out here. They are going through all three phases of clinical trials, at least the ones that are registered in America. They're going through this. They're enrolling tens of thousands of participants. They're going to make sure that this is a safe drug. They're not going to release something that's untested.
We are really trying to help the country see what the pundits elsewhere aren't telling them, and that's that this is a very concentrated virus. We know that more than half of all counties actually have 5 or fewer deaths, and like you pointed out just now, a lot of these deaths that we have are focused on 30 counties. That's 1% of all counties that stretch from Philadelphia up to Boston. And yet we see people, as we saw tonight with Vice President Biden, suggesting that we should go into a nationwide economic shutdown. Based on this data, it simply makes no sense to subject citizens in places like Indiana, South Dakota, or Arkansas to these absolutely disastrous restrictions that we see in New York City.
Typical Washington speak is throw money at the problem. That is not going to solve the organizational and management problems at the Postal Service that cause these problems. And look, the mail delays in absentee ballots, the misdelivery of ballots, the failing to put postmarks on the envelopes of absentee ballots, this is a problem that's been going on for years.